All right, guys, it's 3 o'clock, so we're going to go ahead and get started. It's just some housekeeping things. As you came into the presentation, everyone was muted. If you have any questions, please put them in the chat, and I will be monitoring it, and we'll make sure that they get answered. Um, but if you have anything pressing, just shoot me a message. And this is being recorded, so if you find some like good information that you're like, oh, I don't want to forget that, then you'll be able to look it up at a different time. So yeah, we'll get started. So we are here for finding the right fit, factors to consider during your college search. And presenting today will be Laura Mueller, the Assistant Director of Admissions at Simpson, and Wade Lorenke, Researching and Training Director at Iowa College Aid. And he also does a lot of stuff with Drake as well. So take it away, guys.
Great. Thank you so much, Gracie. Nice to have you guys all with us here today on this beautiful Sunday. Thanks for joining. Just really quickly, I would like to go over our agenda for today, just so that you know what to expect out of this presentation. So first things first, I'm just going to kind of walk through some important things that I think that you should be considering during your college search. After we do that, we're going to have an activity, which should be some fun, give you an opportunity to do some searching on college websites and think a little bit more about what you should be looking for during your college search. And then, like Gracie said, please enter any questions that you have in the chat box. And then at the end of our session, I want to take plenty of time to answer any of those questions that you guys have. So please utilize that chat box throughout the presentation and just know that we will get to those questions at the end. Okay, so let's just get right into it. So factors to consider during your college search. What I would really recommend before you even get out there and start visiting schools, I would sit down and really think about what is most important to you. What are you looking for in a college? You know, what do you envision your college experience looking like? I think that's really an important first step before you even start researching colleges on websites and before you start visiting, to really zone in on what it is that's most important to you. So a couple of examples of this could be, you know, class size. Like if you really see yourself in a smaller school where your class size might just be like 20, 25 students, that's something to consider. Athletics, if that's something that's really important to you in high school and you know that you want to continue that at the college level, you know, thinking about that and thinking about, do I want to be at a Division III school, Division I, like what is it that you're looking for? Could be the academic program. So there might be some, you know, different majors, things that you know that you're interested in studying. And one thing that I think is really important is finding a college that has multiple things you're interested in, because many students, you know, they get to college, they get started in one major, and they end up changing their mind after their first or second year and want to change majors. So that's why I think it's really important to make sure maybe like your top couple of majors are offered at the schools that you're looking at, so that, you know, if you do kind of change your mind, you're still going to have that options available, and that you're not going to have to transfer schools if you do kind of change your mind. Something else to consider is, what are your non-negotiables? So are you not willing to leave the state of Iowa? Maybe you really want to be close to home. That's really going to help narrow down your search. Although of course there's still plenty of schools to pick from in Iowa, but that's at least going to narrow down your search if you know that you're not willing to go out of state. Cost is another big non-negotiable. You might already have a number in mind of, you know, there's no way that I'm going to be able to make this number work. And so kind of having that cost in mind as far as what it is that you're looking to pay to go to school. So consider those things, like I said, before you really even get out there, start looking at schools. Definitely keeping a notebook is really helpful. I know that I did that when I was looking at colleges. I would keep lots of lists and things that I was interested in. So that might be helpful to just write all those things down. Okay, so next, like we've already been talking about, do your research before visiting schools you are interested in. Our activity is going to help us kind of get more familiar with doing research into schools that you're looking at, but definitely check out the school website for information about majors, athletics, study abroad opportunities, all that stuff that you're interested in and looking for in a school that you've already identified. And then I would recommend starting with maybe 10 or 15 schools. If you're really ambitious, it might be even more than that. But then after you've taken the time to get out there, look at websites, then maybe start narrowing down your choices and try to visit maybe 5 or 10 schools. Again, 10 might be a little bit too ambitious for some of you. Others might want to be going to more schools than that. But I think that that's a pretty good starting point for a number of schools to either get out and visit on campus or, in this world that we live in now, do a virtual visit with one of those schools that you're interested in. I think that's kind of a good start, that number. So then obviously set up campus visits to your top school choices after you've identified those schools that you want to visit. Again, a lot of schools now are offering virtual visits. So if you don't feel comfortable scheduling something on campus, that virtual is going to be a great option. At Simpson, we have opportunities for either individual visits. So if you want to meet one-on-one with an admissions counselor, with a professor, with a current student, you can certainly do that. But then we're also offering like bigger group events. So if you just want to learn more about the school, but don't really want the pressure of meeting one-on-one with a professor, you just kind of want to get some more general information. Simpson has certainly been having events like that, and I know a lot of other schools have been as well, during this time, just trying to figure out new ways to connect with all of you. And then, of course, there's still the on-campus visits available. At Simpson, we are offering those still with, of course, social distancing measures, and a lot of other schools in Iowa, I think, have started opening back up for some of those smaller visit opportunities. So set those visits up, which you can do just on the campus website, either by, registering online or just giving the school a call to get that set up. Creating a pros and cons list after you visited the schools can be really helpful. I know, again, for me, after I visited a couple of colleges, things really started to blend together. Like I would remember being at a school and thinking, I had a really great conversation with this professor. I really liked the program, but what school was that at? Or I would really like a dorm room and know that I thought it was a good size, the closet was great, but wouldn't remember what school I was at when I saw it. Just because after a while, it may sound silly if you haven't gotten out there yet, but it really does. It gets confusing. There's just a lot that you're thinking about when you're out there on a college visit. So again, keeping that notebook, having a pros cons list to remember what you liked and what you didn't like about each school can really help you then when you go to sit down to narrow down those choices again. Okay, so then after you've gotten out there, you visited all of those top school choices that you had, maybe that 10 to 15, maybe a little more, maybe less. I think second visits are really important. Of course, not right away. Hopefully, you're going to be looking at colleges, maybe starting fall of your senior year, if not sooner than that. I know there's plenty of students that like to get started earlier, sophomore, junior year, maybe even freshman year. But don't worry if you haven't started that process sooner. I think still starting fall of your senior year is going to give you plenty of time to get out there for first visits and then come back around and do second visits in the spring. So considering going on those second visits to your top school choices, I wouldn't go back to all the schools that you visited the first time. Hopefully, after you did that first round of visits, there were a couple schools that really stood out to you and maybe a couple that were really easy for you to rule out. So definitely don't feel like you have to go back to second visits for all of your schools. I would really just pick a handful, maybe 2 or 3 schools to go back for a second visit. And definitely don't do the same thing that you did the first time you visited. So even if you are really set on studying education and you met with an education professor on your first visit at a school, don't feel like you have to do that again. Maybe meet with another professor in education, or if there's something else that you're just considering studying and you're just not sure if you're interested in, I think it's still worth it to try to meet with someone in that area just to learn more about the program, because that way you're going to really learn more about the school from a different perspective, from somebody you didn't talk to the first time. Same goes for like athletics. If you didn't have a chance to meet with a coach the first time, try to do that in your second visit. Simpson. Now, of course, with COVID, we're not able to do it for this semester, but we usually do overnight visits. So if you wanted to come to campus, stay overnight with a current student, it's really a great opportunity to get to know what it's really like to be a student on that college campus when you're able to stay overnight with a student and kind of go through what a typical day and what a typical night looks like. So hopefully in the spring, you guys will be able to do that at some of the colleges that you're interested in. But again, you know, this semester at Simpson, unfortunately, we're not able to do that. And I'm sure it's the same for most other schools as well. But yeah, so also sitting in on a class is something that you might want to do. Just again, another opportunity for you to see more than you did in that first visit. And then really don't be afraid to reach out to your admissions counselors. We really are here to help you. It's my job as an admissions counselor to help you, to answer any questions that you have. And no question is silly. I would much rather have my students, you know, calling and texting me all the time and getting their questions answered than sitting around wondering, you know, how do I do this? This is about financial aid. Like, I'd much rather just have you guys reach out to me. So definitely don't be afraid to reach out to your admissions counselor. They really are there to help you. You're not bothering them if you send them a bunch of emails, so don't worry about it. Okay, let's kind of move into our activity. Just again, so that we can kind of continue to discuss what we should be looking for when we are getting out there on our college search, and also just to give you guys a little bit of practice searching for that important information that you want to know. So let's move on to, this is our first question, and feel free if you want to put your answer in the chat box if you'd like. Otherwise, you know, just kind of do this on your own, whether you want to search on your computer or use your phone to find the information. I'm just going to give the answer to you guys here at the end, and then we'll just kind of talk a little bit more about why this is important to consider during your search. But if you want to, feel free to enter the answer in the chat box. Okay, so for this first question, how many undergraduate students were enrolled at Iowa State University for the 2018-2019 school year? And I'm going to give you guys maybe just a minute here. We'll take a minute to search. Keep in mind, this is a little bit of a trick question because I looked it up both on my computer this week at work, and then I just looked it up on my phone and I found a different answer. So as long as we're within like a couple hundred students, I think we're good, but just know that we might have some different answers out there. So I'll give you guys a minute, either search on your phone, search on your computer, and then we'll talk about this in a minute. Okay, hopefully that gave you guys enough time to do a little bit of digging. And like I said, this is the number that I found this week on the website. It was actually just through a Google search that I found this, but then when I looked it up on my phone, I think it was because I found a news story that was reporting the numbers. So not sure which one to believe, but anyway, so this is the answer that I found. Undergraduate enrollment at Iowa State for the 2018-2019 school year was 29,248 students. An important thing to keep in mind here is that this is the number of undergraduate students. So when you're looking at schools, and especially a larger school like Iowa State, know that the total enrollment is going to be you know, larger than this number because there's also going to be a lot of graduate students at that university as well. But I thought that it'd be important for us, since we're looking, you know, into the first year side of things, to know what the undergraduate enrollment is. And then it's really important to think about, you know, the size of the school that you're interested in, because your experience at, you know, a larger school is going to be different than an experience you would have at a smaller school. So again, thinking about what you want your college experience to look like. Do you see yourself at a larger institution where there's excuse me, lots of different students, lots of opportunities for you to meet with different people throughout your 4 years? Or do you see yourself at a smaller school where there's going to be more of a close-knit community? You're going to know just about everyone that you go to school with. Is that the experience that you're looking for? Same with like athletics. Do you see yourself going to those, really big football games? Of course, again, not right now with COVID, but is that what you like envision your experience being like? Or do you see yourself being, again, just a smaller campus that has, that closer knit community? So something really important to ask about when you're out there looking at colleges, but also to do that research beforehand, before you're even getting out there, to know what type of a school experience you're looking for. And if there's ever anything, Wade, I know I can just get way off track and just kind of run with things, but feel free to add on anything that you feel is important. Okay, well then let's just go ahead and let's move on to our next question. Does Wartburg College have a degree in music therapy? And the last one I did use Google, but I think it's important to try to use the college website. So maybe start by going to Wartburg College's website and kind of try to go through, find this information. But of course, if you want to use Google, you can do that too. I mean, both are going to be very useful for your college search. All right, I'll give you guys like 30 seconds, then we'll talk about this. All right. So the answer to this question is yes. Wartburg College does have both a Bachelor of Music Education music therapy degree and a Bachelor of Music Therapy degree. Bonus, they also have a master's program in this as well, but I didn't add that in. But yeah, so important, of course, and we kind of already talked about this earlier, but when you're looking at schools, it's really important to get on their website and to look at that list of majors and minors. And again, even if you think I am really set on studying, let's say it is music therapy, still considering those other majors that you've thought about, that you have an interest in, and making sure before you visit that school that they have those major and minor programs that you are interested in is really important. And that's how I was able to find this answer. Went on the Wartburg College website, clicked on their list of majors and minors, and they had it listed out where, and hopefully you found this, they had the list of each major and then offered like a little M, I think it was a big capital M for major, lowercase for minor, and then the master's program designation as well. So that's how their website's set up. You'll find something similar at every other college website. So just make sure to check that out before you go on those college visits. Okay, next question. What percentage of students receive financial aid at DMACC? And this is another one that I'd recommend going straight to the college website and maybe not just doing a Google search. I'll give you a minute to take a look for this one. Okay. This one might have been a little bit more involved, but hopefully you're able to get to this answer. So 70% of students receive financial aid at DMACC. And the way that I found this, I got on DMACC's website, went to their tab with financial aid. I think it was called tuition and aid maybe. Clicked on that, and there was a nice little, trying to think of what the word is. Anyway, little blurb that they had on their website where it listed that 70% of students receive financial aid. So really helpful, again, to look at those college websites, to look up financial aid information. So, you know, most schools are going to have information listed for scholarships that are available, grants that are available. I know, you know, just as an admissions counselor from Simpson, really important to take a look at our college website, just because there's some scholarships that you're awarded automatically, but then there's others that require an application. And so we'll have like the deadlines listed for all of those scholarships. So while most schools are going to try to kind of reach out to you and be proactive about letting you know what scholarships are available, when those deadlines are, you kind of have to make sure that you're doing that work as well, to get on the website and make sure that you are aware of all of the opportunities that are available to you. So really just make sure, and especially this will be important after you do those first college visits and you have that list of maybe 5 schools that you're interested in, to make sure that you are not missing out on any scholarship opportunities, especially those ones that, you know, have a deadline that you need to meet. So just make sure to check out each you know, college website to find that information.
Laura, can I jump in super quick?
Yes, of course.
So everybody, when you're looking at the financial piece in particular, I would encourage you to look for what are often called net price calculators. And so usually the federal government has some of those, and most colleges will have what's called, again, a net price calculator. We often get stuck on the tuition, the advertised tuition for a college, and very few students pay the full advertised price of the college. So for instance, when I went to college, I grew up here in Iowa, but it was cheaper for me to go to a private school because of my family's financial situation. It was cheaper for me to go to a private school in Minnesota than for a public school in Iowa. And so it just is something to make sure when you're doing that piece, again, net price calculator.
Thank you. Yes, very important. And certainly something that I talk to students, again, being an admissions counselor from Simpson, if you are looking at our total cost of attendance, we're going to look a lot more expensive than if you're looking at Iowa State, University of Iowa. So that's why that net price is really important to pay attention to know that once you factor in the scholarships and grants that you're going to get at a school, they're going to be paying significantly less than that, that sticker price. So yes, net price is very important. And I think my next question might lead us into that. So it was perfect timing, Wade, thank you. What is the average cost after aid at Central College? So let's take a minute to look for that, and then we'll talk a little bit more about financial aid. Okay. All right, this is another one that I just used my phone to search and got a little bit of a different answer. So, but we're within just $1,000 here, so I'm not too concerned. So answer, $21,000 per year is the average cost after aid at Central College. So again, really important to pay attention to, you know, net price, what students are paying after they've factored in all the financial aid that they are receiving. Now, I can't speak for, you know, what Central College's sticker price is, but at Simpson, it's about $50,000 is the total cost for tuition, room and board, and fees. So again, that's a really big number. That's a scary number. But once you're factoring in what you're receiving in financial aid, you're going to take it down to be, much more affordable. So really don't let that sticker price scare you off from looking at private schools. Really just think about the school experience, the academic programs that are offered, and what you're looking for first, and then kind of have that financial aid discussion later on once you've submitted the FAFSA to those schools and once you have applied for those scholarship opportunities. So really just don't let that sticker price scare you off from looking at a school that might be that best fit for you. And I don't know, I do want to add just one more bonus question, just because I realized that I did not include a question that was with Simpson's website. And I figured that I wouldn't be, doing Simpson College right if I didn't include at least one question that included us. So for a bonus question, find 3 scholarships available to first-year students that's available from Simpson College. So if you want to get on the website really quick and try to find 3 scholarships, hopefully you'll find more than that, but just try to find at least 3 scholarships that are available to first-year students. Okay, so hopefully you were able to get on the website. Tuition and aid is where you can find the scholarship opportunities. One of the first scholarship opportunities you should have seen is for Simpson's Merit Scholarship, which is based just off of high school GPA. So this is one of those scholarships, like I was talking about earlier, that actually doesn't require an application. Once you're admitted to Simpson, you're awarded that scholarship just based off of your high school GPA. But then lower down, you should have found some of those additional stackable scholarship opportunities that do require an application. So again, this is why it's really important for you to check out the website to make sure you're aware of all the opportunities and that you're not missing out on any important deadlines. Just a couple of examples, there's the Coles Fellowship, we have the Matthew Simpson Scholarship, Wesley Service, if you're interested in like community service opportunities, that's a good one. And then speech and debate, music, theater, lots of different opportunities. And of course, this is the case at Simpson, but I'm sure it is at a lot of other schools. Music scholarship, you don't have to be a music major if you just want to be participating, whether it's in the band, orchestra, choir. So definitely make sure that you understand each of the scholarships and don't feel like, well, I'm not going to be a music major, so I shouldn't apply for that. Definitely feel free to reach out either to your admissions counselor or to a professor in the program to see if you're eligible to apply for any scholarships that you're interested in. Okay, so that was our activity. Hopefully you guys had some fun with that. I did want to make sure to leave plenty of time for any questions that you have. So Gracie, if any of those questions came in during our presentation, I'd be happy to answer those now.
We don't have any questions as of yet, so if Wade wants to go into his part,
sure, that'd be great.
That will give the kiddos time to think of some questions.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen. And hopefully everybody can see. Does it say what's my ideal college? Okay, great. So those of you who are listening in live, or if you're watching this as a recording later, if you type in bit.ly/WadeFit, because I was trying to come up with something quick and easy for a link, you can download this PDF that I'm going to go over for the next couple of minutes. So this is a handout we have at Iowa College Aid to help you do a little bit of research and calculation on finding a good fit for you at school. And basically, this builds on all of the great things Laura was just talking about as far as different things that you might want to consider in your college search process. So it's pretty straightforward. You can download this and print it out and scribble on it. Basically, it's got a series of questions. So how far away from home do you want to live? What size of a school, like Laura was talking about, researching the sizes of the school. So what size of a school are you interested in? Environment, city, suburbs. You want to be in a more rural area for your school. You want to live on campus, off campus, at home. Obviously, if you're going to live at home, it's going to be someplace close. A good question to be asking when you go on visits or when you're looking online is, how many years are students required to live on campus? Lots of places it's going to be 1, 2. Private colleges might be 3 or up to all 4. Bigger schools, it might not have any residency requirements. So if that's a factor, living on or off campus, good question to be asking or researching when you're looking online. Type of religious affiliated, private, public, or you can, if these are not important to you, that's fine, just mark that. Are you looking for an associate's, a bachelor's degree? And then Laura talked about this as well. What kinds of activities do you want to be participating in? Here, I want you to just pause for a minute and think about this. So lots of great options on that list. I would encourage you, as you're thinking about and researching schools, and then when you go to that college visit, really ask about clubs and activities. If you don't want to do Greek or sports or student government, colleges and universities have dozens and dozens, at the bigger schools, probably hundreds of clubs and activities. And so one of the critical things when we do research on whether or not students or how successful students are in college, one of the critical things is, are they getting involved in at least one activity? A couple of activities is actually great, but are they involved in at least one activity on campus? And so as you're searching those, find out, ask about the student activities board or just the list of clubs, and then see, okay, is there 1 or 2 that really jump out at me at this institution so that I've got something I can get involved with in the first couple of weeks. And then student services, these student services are going to be available at almost every school, but certainly if these are important to you, you want to check them out. So use these student services. Here I also would add on here, when you are, it's not exactly a student service, but I would put in the other on this box, internships. So I would be asking at every school that you go visit or when you're doing your research, you want to ask what percentage of students do an internship while they are at school. Internship, like being involved in a club, doing an internship is one of those critical factors. If students are able to do an internship, they're much more likely to stay in school and graduate. And those internships are the best place to launch into your career after college. So I encourage you all to be asking about internships, researching internships. What percentage of students do an internship at this college or university? Use that when you're researching schools. And then also with internships, I would also ask about research or activities with professors. So it might be a major that it doesn't, a lot of students don't do internships in your major, but almost all of the students get involved with research or projects with a professor, okay? That's also a really critical factor in success in college. And so ask about that. What percentage of students, and you can ask that even if you don't know what your major is, or maybe you've got 3 or 4 ideas, or you have no idea. That's perfectly fine. When you talk to folks at that college, when you go on a visit, when you do a virtual visit, if you have a chance to chat with, virtually or over the phone with a student at that college you're interested in, ask them, are they involved in an internship or are they involved in research with a professor? Ask them if their friends are doing those things. Again, you want to get a sense, the more the college or university has these activities set up for you, okay, these are colleges that are going to help launch me into my career. And so those are some really critical questions that you want to be asking. And then as you're rating your schools, you've got your 3 on here. You can then fill that in, okay? So this college doesn't do a great job of internships, but my second choice and my third choice here, almost everybody does an internship. Okay, let's go back and take a closer look at colleges 2 and 3 when you're filling this form. Again, second page of this form, lots of good questions, ties right into those things that Laura was talking about in the first part of our presentation. Another way to keep that list or the notebook, like Laura was talking about, absolutely critical. Mine all mushed together as well. So that was a great tip. Here's another way you can record some of that information and fill that out as you're researching schools. Again, I really encourage you to look at 5, 10 plus colleges like Laura mentioned. So we've got 3 on this document. You can get a couple of these going. That 5 to 10 plus is a really great suggestion. Doesn't mean you need to apply to 10 plus, but now's a good time as you're researching to start looking at a bunch of schools. And you can fill out almost all of this page just from information you can find on their website, and then some of those other pieces when you talk to folks. And then again, really just some great, are these available? Are these services available or not? You could put internships, study with a professor, clubs and activities down here, available, not available, something that you could use to fill out that information. So I hope this is a pretty straightforward form and activity. Again, use it, adapt it as you see fit, just a resource that we think might be helpful. And then the last thing I'll mention very quickly, I put this on this form, collegescorecard.ed.gov. This is another, so as Laura mentioned, I would really encourage you to research schools based on their own website. That is absolutely the best place to get information. If you want to be able to quickly search a few schools, or if you want to search by a region or a state, the College Scorecard is a good place to start to open up, especially if you're early on. I want to look at schools. I really want to go out west. So I want to look at schools in Utah and Colorado. Okay, go to the College Scorecard because I don't even know what all the colleges in Utah and Colorado are. So collegescorecard.ed.gov is a great place to do a broader search. But then I would, once you narrow it down to 5 or 10 schools, then go to their website, because I'm going to have a little more confidence in the information on their website versus this collegescorecard.ed.gov website. So I'll stop jabbering now, and if we have any other questions that came up.
So no questions yet. As a reminder, if you do have questions, there's a little chat bubble at the bottom of the screen, so you can type it in there, and I'll make sure they get answered. But while we kind of wait to see if anyone pops questions in there, do you guys want to share what was maybe the best thing that you looked at when you looked at your college, or the thing that most resonated about the college you went to?
Yeah, so when I was looking at colleges, and this is the same, I think, for a lot of students, I was really just basing my decision off of the feeling that I got when I was on campus, which is a hard thing to kind of put into this notebook or into this worksheet that we're talking about, but that can be so important. Is just, did I get a good vibe from campus? Did I feel comfortable with the professor that I talked to? Did I like the student that I met with? So that's something that unfortunately can be a little bit hard to do virtually. So I think these virtual visits have been an awesome opportunity to, connect with you students, but I really am hoping that you have that opportunity to get on campus to these schools that you're interested in. And if it's not this fall, to be able to get there in the spring, because it really is an important part, I think, of the college decision, is just the feeling that you get on campus. And that can really help you decide what's going to be that best fit.
I've got to say, my answer is exactly the same. I used a process not very similar to this worksheet to figure out what sort of college that I wanted to go to, and it ended up that I wanted to go to a private college because I wanted something that felt smaller. I thought I'd get overwhelmed at a big university, and then I had a geographical range, and then I applied to, I think, 8 colleges within 4 hours of home. I went to visit 5 of them. Came down to the final 2, did an overnight visit, like Laura talked about, which was just fantastic. And then it was all about fit. When the financial piece came out equal, one of them felt good and the other one felt like, this is exactly where I belong. And so all of the things we talked about today, I think, are really useful to narrow it down. And then at the end, all things being equal, it's that feeling, which is really hard to put on a form.
So for a student who hasn't even started thinking about college, like this is their first foray in it, they don't have any idea of the size or whatnot, like what is the one question they should ask themselves to at least start their search? Try
Yeah.
not to panic.
Yeah, I was going to say again, if you're not sure, you really have no idea what you want, that's okay. So just again, considering those things, what you think you envision your college experience looking like, but then giving yourself that opportunity to just visit a lot of different schools. So going to a bigger university and then going to a smaller private school. Because if you really just can't visualize what it is that you want, maybe going to some of those different types of schools and going to a school that's in state, going to one that's out of state will start to help you realize, okay, this is what I want and this is what I don't want. So if you really are kind of struggling, it's okay to get out there and just try to visit a couple of different types of schools and then start to narrow down what it is that you're looking for.
I would schedule some time and chat with my counselor at school to see if they had any thoughts or suggestions. If you've got a teacher that you're well connected with at school, talk with them. Like, I just ask them, okay, what kind of environment do you imagine that I might thrive in? And see if you get some feedback that way. I would be, if I had friends, if I was a junior or senior, and then I would be, okay, which of my friends have a sibling that's a year or two older and who's in college? And then I might text them and see if I could chat with them or FaceTime with them for 5 or 10 minutes and just pick their brain. What about college do they love? What about college do they not love? Because there's things about every school, there are things about my college that I did not love at all. But overall, it was fantastic. So, I mean, it's good to ask what's going well and what's not going so well. To pick the brain of some people that are similar to you and maybe give you a couple of jumping off points.
I think that's really great advice, guys. So, what do you say to kids who maybe are putting a lot of pressure on making the perfect choice and things that they may mess it up if they don't choose right?
Yeah, I always tell students, again, it's about what feels right to you. So if you have come to the conclusion that this feels like the right school, but you're worried about, am I missing out on something at this other school? Like I thought this other school maybe had a better academic program, but just going with kind of that gut feeling, I don't think you can go wrong. But really just don't put all that pressure on yourself. You really, you're not going to make the wrong decision if you're going with your gut and going with what you feel like is that best fit. So definitely, I get it. I know I put a lot of pressure on myself during the college search. And so I always tell students I meet with now, don't do that to yourself. Try to have fun with it. And you can't go wrong if you're going with that feeling of what's the best fit for you.
I would say, I think there's this perception, at least for some folks, that I have to get into the perfect college or I have to go to this college. If I don't get into this college, my life is going to be ruined. And I just don't, I would really push back against that. What I think is important is going to college or some sort of training or certificate program. Getting a degree or a certificate, some credential beyond your high school diploma is the most important thing. Where you went to college, where you got that from, is not really all that important. It is going to college, learning those critical thinking skills, getting those valuable experiences, and then getting a credential, a degree at the end that's most important. Where you do it, as long as it feels pretty good and is a decent fit, you're going to be fine.
I completely agree. And I would definitely add to, like, just like your major or whatnot, you can change your mind. You can get to a campus and be like, oh no, I was wrong, and transfer somewhere else. Awesome. There doesn't seem to be any questions. So do you guys maybe want to end on a piece of advice that you wish somebody had given you in your college search?
Yeah, I think again, it's a big decision. So I understand feeling stressed out about it and worrying about making that best choice. but try not to put too much pressure on yourself, because like Wade said, it's really just about going to college and getting the degree. And as long as you're going with what you feel like is going to be that right fit, you're not going to go wrong. And like you said, Gracie, if you do make the wrong choice, you can transfer and it's going to be okay. So really just don't put too much pressure on yourself. Just follow these steps that we've talked about and it's going to be okay.
And I think I pretty much just would echo that. I had a semester, my second semester of college, where things were not going well for a while, and I've got to transfer. I've got to get out of here. And then I just rode out the semester. Things evened out, and I ended up staying, and it worked out great. But I could have transferred, and I would have been fine. And so again, it's a huge decision. It's one of the biggest decisions. And up until this point in your life, if you're 17, 18, it will be the biggest decision likely that you've made in your life. But so it is a big deal, but try not to put too much on it, like we've been saying.
Awesome. You guys did a fantastic job, and we really appreciate your expertise on this. I forget, on your PowerPoint, did it have your guys' contact information?
I did not have my contact information just because I really want you guys to reach out to me. I am, however, I work at Simpson currently. I will be at Drake though here in just a couple of weeks. So that's why I didn't include my information, but you should be able to find me at Drake. I just don't have my contact information from there to share with you yet.
No, that's perfectly fine. You guys can also reach out to us. Oh, we did get a message in the chat. Here we go. Could a homeschooler receive a merit scholarship, that is with a diploma with a GPA, be recognized, or must it be based on the ACT? So
yeah, that's a great question. So, and I can speak again from Simpson. Yes, we would definitely consider your homeschool GPA. Our merit scholarship is just based off of your GPA because we're actually a test optional school. So students do have the option to either apply with or without test scores. So the answer is yes, you'd receive a merit scholarship based off of your homeschool GPA. It's a great question.
And I'll echo that. I can tell you Drake is also has gone to a test optional application process. So you definitely would be available for that merit scholarship without the ACT. And I would imagine, I certainly can't speak for all colleges, but we're definitely moving in that direction more and more. So I would not, having the ACT is not critical.
awesome. And again, it's another good thing that if you have questions or you wonder if you'll meet a merit scholarship at a specific school, you can definitely reach out to your admissions counselor and they'll be able to answer that or give you instructions on how to show where your merit level is. So that's a really good question. Thank you so much for asking that. Any other final questions, guys? Well, Wade put his email in the chat. And if you do have just general questions or you need support, then you can always reach out to us at the iowacollegeaid.gov website. And there will be somebody who would be happy to answer your questions as well. As I think both of these presenters have shown, that it's important to get the degree and find the right fit for you, not that you go to a specific school. You guys are awesome, and I hope you have a good rest of your weekend.
Thanks, Gracie.